Everybody, welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of France, London, wine, cognac, and so much more. Today's guest, Mr. Seb Derbomez, the national brand ambassador for Monkey Shoulder Scotch. We sat down recently in Austin, Texas, talking about his life as a French-Australian guy learning to speak English from Love Actually in London. It's a great tale. He's an animated guy, great style, great hair, and it was great to sip some Monkey Shoulder Scotch with him. Again, yet another member of the William Grant & Sons roster on the show, and it is a great group, a great bunch, and they're always fun. So, without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this great chat with Seb Derbomez from Monkey Shoulder.
Hairdresser. I do.
Is there is it a traveling hairdresser that goes with you?
Actually, I've got what you call a home hairdresser.
What's that?
I've been really lucky. I married a beautiful Australian woman who is a hairdresser.
Perfect.
So you make it really convenient to have a really cutting edge haircut every week. When he's growing a little bit too much, hop a little trim. So I'm always on top of it, which I know a lot of people because they're like, "Oh, you go to the hairdresser all the time." I'm like, I don't.
No, that's amazing though.
Yeah, and she take pride in it because you say I travel all the time.
Yeah,
and even in New York when I go around, and you would not believe actually how many people tell me that and ask me.
Really?
And then I can advertise actually for her. I was like, well, matter of fact, if you're looking for a hairdresser, my wife is working in this salon here, so don't hesitate to go and see her. So yeah, in a way, I'm doing advertisement for her too.
It works, and you spread the word for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
She knew what she was doing when she married you.
Yeah, she's got some new clients from our office and stuff like that. Mostly girls because she do a specialty is coloring.
Yeah.
So she's really good in coloring.
Is that how you guys met by chance?
No, actually, we met in London, and I was a bartender, and she was one of my customers.
I see.
So I look after my customer really well. Maybe
white glove service.
Maybe a bit too well on that one.
Maybe too well.
Yeah.
Well, so this whole story, we're here in Austin, and this is the second time I've seen you, probably about a year and a half, which is great.
Yeah.
Austin is a great place. Your mates come here all the time. David, Glenfiddich Dave is always spinning. He's always starting parties. Wingo. Great group, right? Love you guys so much. But this whole thing, this whole story starts just outside of Spain in a town called, it's a French town, but what was the town called that you grew up?
The town where I grew up?
Yeah.
It's actually a little village next to Narbonne, and it's called Nissan les Ancerunes. Yeah, there is an oppidum right next to it, and it's part of the old road which link Rome, the empire, the Roman Empire, to the rest of Europe. It's actually a lot of archaeological discovery around this area because he was part of the main road from Roma to reach the rest of Europe. All around this Mediterranean.
It's a hell of a thoroughfare.
Yeah, there is a lot of vineyard, around there too. So, as you probably know, the Roman used to love the wine and stuff like that. So
they loved a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh, they knew how to live really, really well.
They loved the love. They loved the wine.
That's probably what bring them down as well too. They like to party a little bit too much at the end.
I think the Parisians and the French in general know how to do it. They can just keep doing it.
Yeah.
They know when to walk it off.
Yeah, that's it. I think we I don't know if it's gene or in the tradition to do things, but we can drink a lot, but we tend to be okay with walking away at the right time, I think, or stopping at the right time. I don't know. I've been part of other culture. I live in Australia for 10 years, and they love drinking as well and partying. But I can see for them they got different different problem. That's this is now you need to stop.
That's right.
For us, I think it's a bit more natural somehow.
You guys just know. That is the knowing when to leave. knowing when to exit the party, even
Yeah.
if you don't say goodbye.
I think
It's
it's
still the best
probably
thing.
and I think it's probably the fact is because we got the aperitif
Yeah.
and
Oh,
we got
right.
the wine during dinner, and then we have the digestive. So when you get the digestive, you're at the end of the road.
That's right. You're
When a
already
lot
on
of
your way
culture
out.
to just drink whatever the whole time. So
Whenever,
then
yeah.
when do you know it's time to stop?
That's a good point.
That's the thing. That probably help.
So growing up in France, is it as scenic and as beautiful as I kind of hope it is?
Yeah, it is truly. It is. I don't have the chance to go back to where I grew up too often. When I was in Australia, even less. Now I try to do it at least once a year.
Yeah.
And I've done a trip recently because I went for a workshop actually in Spain, and I stopped to visit my family. And I live literally in the middle of nowhere. My village is probably still about 4,000 inhabitants
Really?
As we speak. Yeah,
Are
really
your
tiny.
parents still?
Yeah, my parents, my family is still over there. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. It's still really tiny. Everyone knows everyone. And we go to this wheel mill on top of the hill, which is like a small forest around my village. And I used to go there when I was a kid, and I just went there for a run when I went there to visit my family. And I just stopped through my run and looked toward the village. And I just realized I forgot how beautiful. You go away and you visit so many places.
Right.
But when you come back to where you live, sometimes you stop and you're like, wow, where I grew up, it's actually.
Because you take it for granted when you're
Yes,
a kid.
you do.
know.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're in New York now, so that's a different kind of beautiful, but
Yes.
just very cluster.
Yeah.
It's claustrophobic in a way.
It's a complete different energy. Yeah, complete different
absolutely.
energy.
It's not open. It's
No.
kind of free like that.
I mean, it's no landscape of just small villages and a forest and stuff like that. New York, it's a beast. It's a building.
Behemoth, yeah.
It's a noise. It's the energy. It's a complete different dynamic.
Do you
So-
like the now living in the big city? I know you lived in Australia for a while. Do you need that kind of balance for you?
Yeah, I
Kind of
think
nature and-
I think I still do. Because I grew up in this area, I still feel like I love the big city and I love New York.
Yeah.
But and as soon as I can get a break, I do really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Getting off, just the craziness of the city, even getting off the phone and social media and all that stuff. That's still something I enjoy a lot because I didn't grow up with it.
That's right.
When I look at people these days, and social media is a complete part of their life.
Yeah.
We grew up in a world where social media didn't exist.
We wrote letters.
Yeah,
Right?
right. And so sometimes I actually love staying away from that and
I
just
do too.
getting back to.
It's weird because you want to get stuff done,
yeah,
right? Because there's emails, there's all these
Mhm.
tasks kind of looming over you, but in a way, it goes against how we were raised.
yeah,
Enjoying nature, going outside and playing, getting away from the TV.
true.
As-
And living in it's true, and it's totally right. Living in those big cities literally take this away from you even more. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys in Austin here, you're lucky. You still got the feeling of like a small city.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you live in New York, the time just fly by. You get sucked into doing some really simple little things.
Yeah.
Take a lot more time, and everything goes so much quicker.
It's faster,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, a lot faster.
Just sitting out, I was recently in Normandy,
Mhm.
and that's the kind of thing where you just can sit and you can
Yeah.
look at these hills and it's green, and
Yeah.
you don't have to think a lot.
No.
You can just listen.
I mean,
smell.
people take time to live. People take time to eat,
Yeah.
which is a big
Yeah,
thing
they
that we
really do.
don't do enough here for sure. I can tell you what, I don't do it enough anymore.
Because you're walking and eating.
You're walking and
right?
eating, or you're eating. Like I've got half an hour. I'm gonna grab some lunch.
Yeah.
No, I mean we don't. I mean half an hour. Sometimes it's less than that. Over there, you just stop for an hour and a half, and you go and have lunch. I
It's
mean,
an event.
work is structured around those breaks. You
Yeah.
know, if you work in an office, you'll find no one between 12 and maybe 2 doing much around because people just stop and go and have lunch.
We never learned that in the
No,
States, man. We
and
never did.
It's
Quite a shame.
It's a beautiful thing.
We get a lot done, I guess.
I know,
man.
yeah.
I bet we'd get more done if we took 2 hours to just go have a couple drinks, or working lunch as they call it,
Yeah.
have a nice meal, and come back and we'll be enlivened.
Yeah,
You know, we'll
it's a
feel
great
very
feeling. Yeah, I
It
miss
is a
it.
good feeling.
Uh-huh.
Growing up in this, agricultural area, like many areas of France, probably vineyards, like you said, around.
Yeah.
Was alcohol itself, whether it was wine or digestif, aperitif, were those big parts of your childhood as well?
Yeah, a lot of wine. It's a massive part of where I grew up because you know people who work in the wine industry. You know parents, grandparents, generation of people literally living out of the wine industry. It's in mutation at the moment. I mean, above all where I come from, because it was almost too much. According to to the quality, they needed to find a compromise between quantity and quality.
Right.
Back in the days, it was a fair bit of quantity, but they have to change to survive. So now they put their wine together. They're trying to work as more as a team instead of isolated winery. So there's a big mutation, and also people had to sell some of the land because it was just too much wine, and they couldn't focus on the quality.
And it's crazy, right? It's kind of how it's grown.
Yeah.
Like in the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah, and I'm not saying people are actually probably drinking less as well too.
Yeah.
Which I think it's probably a general thing. So you can see all over the world. But if you go over there, you can see still all around you. It's vineyard everywhere.
I miss it.
So that's a complete different, complete part of your life. That's for sure. Wine at dinner, wine at lunch, and I'm not talking going through an entire bottle. I'm saying putting a glass. Yeah.
Yeah. No, just half a glass of wine is the perfect accoutrement for any dinner. Even as a kid.
Yeah, it's totally acceptable during lunchtime to go for dinner with lunch. So during the office time and go and have a glass of wine. It's fine.
So it makes me wonder. Makes sense that you're in hospitality. You made that shift at some point, and then it also makes sense that you're surrounded by what is really the representation of a culture, right? Wine for France, Scotch for Scotland, right? So, but it seems like when you were, what kinds of dreams can you have in a small village in France? Is college and university, is that part of the expectation from the parents there too?
Yes, it is. I mean, every parent want the kids to be successful. Yeah. So yes, there is definitely a push on going to school and going to uni. I mean, in France, we got the chance to have a really strong system instead of, you don't have to pay massive amount of money to go to uni. So the government help you a lot.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Yeah, in a way, you really have to do it on purpose to don't make it to uni because there is so many ways.
Every opportunity for
there is opportunity for that. But there is also like a not a push, but a big acceptation in terms of like the artisan. There's nothing wrong at being a mechanic, being a baker. Working in a bakery.
Having a trade.
Yeah, having a trade. Yeah, that's a big thing over there too because people are really proud of that. Because when you grow up in a village, you need those people and you need those trade.
Yeah.
So it's a really kind of a nice balance. But the thing is, there is a point where if you want to grow bigger and do bigger things, you're gonna have to probably get out of the village. Yeah. Because it's just more opportunity in bigger cities. That's for sure.
It's an interesting concept. I think that's great that you don't want to tell a kid they're only going to be one thing their whole life necessarily. And I get that. That's fine. But taking pride in baking, taking pride in being a mechanic, we really missed that. We missed the mark here in the States that way, right? I think everybody here, they want to be a celebrity. They want to be a musician.
Yeah, I hear you.
Is that even a thing in France? Do people even pursue those kinds of
I would say probably for the new generation, there is, through TVs and stuff like that, there is probably a lot more of that. But I think the French people in general are still got, a foot on the ground and realize that those trade jobs are still really important. Yeah. And who doesn't have to have a good mechanic? Don't get me wrong. My friend did the bakery job, and they hated it because it's so early on the morning. And then you sleep during the afternoon, so you missed on everyone. Sure. Being a baker is not a fun life. You literally you live on your own. You're complete opposite hours.
Isolated, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really.
It's like being in the bartending.
Yeah, it's a lonely job. But being a bartending, you're in the center of the action.
True.
When when you're baking, you're by yourself.
So
in your bakery.
It's the absolute inverse.
It's the ultimate lonely job, man. And people come and grab your bread, and I love it. It's nice and warm, delicious. But it's by the time you get to that stage, you're already in bed, and someone else selling it for you because you've been working all night.
Man.
So that's when you realize those trades are really hard. Even a mechanic, it's hard work, and it's the pay. It's probably not the biggest
grueling.
salary.
I mean, it's very physical.
Yeah. So this is absolutely service now is probably a bigger thing. People want to be part of that. Being a star, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been in France for 15 years, so I'll be.
Things probably changed a ton.
Oh yeah, I can see that when I come back. It's already changing.
But we're older too, right?
Yeah.
A little more wise than from where we grew up.
Yeah.
So this led you, when you talk about engineering or being an electrician, what did you study when you went into uni?
I actually study electronic and mechanic. I did this from mostly for my parents. I have to say they wanted me to. There were these things in France like if you choose the scientific, path, you're gonna find a job because everyone, is looking for
Good odds for that
engineer
one.
and all
That's
that
right,
stuff.
yeah.
The classic,
Same thing here,
of course, yeah.
Doctor, lawyer, right?
All
Yeah.
that stuff. But and you do it because you want to keep everyone happy. But that was not really my thing, and I was lucky enough to get my diploma. Then I looked for a job for about a year or so. It didn't really work out for me because
No kidding.
No, because you realize that it's not enough anymore. These days, like those big diploma, most of the time they really. I shouldn't say that, but they don't always take you somewhere.
Yeah.
They don't always open the door
No, you're absolutely right.
Unless you're gifted and you got a real passion for it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any of that. I just went
Just
through
did it.
college and did
Yeah.
it. And I went back to college afterward to do computer engineering.
Okay.
Because I like computer. I was thinking, wow, great. What about program software and stuff like that? That sounds fancy.
That sounds like that'd make some money. I think, right?
Yeah, that's what I saw too. But after that, they're kind of the same. Didn't really work out for me. I had the diploma too, actually. I got a bachelor, how do you call that? Maybe equivalent? Yeah, I've got a bachelor degree. Yeah, in computer engineering.
No kidding.
Yeah, so, but I didn't really work out for me. I ended up finding different set of jobs and finally did some teaching. So there was a school, looking for, when actually kids go and learn a job, like apprentice, they're like, a teenager failing at school, so they go to learn a job. And they do like 3 weeks, in with the company, and a week at school. So just a week at school, just to cover the basic like mathematics, French, and some basics in organization and stuff like that. And I was doing the mathematics. I was replacing the teacher who got sick. Don't ask me how that happened. I don't even know still how that happened because I had an A level in mathematics.
Yeah.
So they say, hey, you can't do it. It's pretty basic. So I did that, and I loved it. It was great actually to be in contact with all the kids and stuff.
Good, like inquisitive minds, questions, and all that, right?
I mean, some of them were pretty naughty. Put it that way. They were here just because they have to.
That's right. Yeah.
They gave up school not years ago, but like a couple of years ago at least.
It's like at least let's like try to make this amicable, guys. Let's
it
have
was
a good
really
time.
challenging. Yeah. They were just happy to see a young fella jumping in and
That's
teaching
fair.
them differently, which was good.
Not part of the establishment, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I developed a taste for it, and then they told me there was an opportunity to do some English classes as well too. And I was like, well, my English is not really up to speed, but I'll think about it. And long story short, really randomly, I found this way to go to London. And, you need to find a job, learn, English. And I started to work in restaurant. And I just fall in love with the cocktail industry.
So was the move to London to try to find another teaching gig, or was
to try to learn English?
Oh, I see.
To
like
be able to be able to then pass maybe an extra diploma and be like, hey, I've got my blah 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 in English, so now I can jump in and do some courses.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I told my mom I'd be back in 6 months, and it's going to be 15 years now.
Does she still tap you on the shoulder every now and again? And
she
say,
was at the beginning because she never understood why do I want to be where I grew up being a bartender.
Oh, it's bad,
it's
right?
like, there was 2 pubs down the road.
Yeah.
And he was just pouring beers and kicking drunk people out, and just nothing fancy.
Yeah.
So she never really understood the whole cocktail bar scene.
And how it's very culinary.
Yeah. And, the establishment I worked to in London were like, Michelin star restaurant. I had the chance to work in members clubs as well. So I was serving the rich and famous of London. I was really lucky. I work really hard, but I got some really cool gigs over there.
Yeah.
And when I told her the story, and she couldn't believe it, and then I just carry on to do that, and the rest is history.
How did you like the different tempo of London? Very, very busy. Very, very buildings everywhere.
It was crazy for me. I come from a little village. I mean, I moved to Montpellier, which is the bigger town, to do my study, and then I also went to Marseille, as I mentioned to you before, just to do another degree. So I was already keen on bigger city, but London was definitely for me the next level. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
It's dense.
Accelerating. Yeah.
It is exhilarating.
It was 3 years, some of the best years of my life. It was a lot of fun.
As a young man going to a big city by himself, I presume?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had the chance to jump in with the group of French people through an association down in south of France. They had like a crazy partnership with an association in London, so they will help us out.
So you had kind of a community then?
Yeah, we had. We went with friends. A lot of us, went apart afterwards. Some lasted 3 months, some lasted 1, some lasted 6, and a few of us, stay around.
Well, it's nice to have the support in a new place like
that.
It
was great because it's really tough when you go away from, without your family in a big city and, with no money. It's a lot of up and down.
About how old were you when you went out to London?
I was 22.
Oh, yeah.
I actually believe, 22, something like that. Yeah.
So when you talk about being behind the bar and probably working all points of service,
Yeah.
how did the interaction piece go? Do you like talking to people? Do you like learning about them?
I love to, but my English was really bad at the beginning, so
Yeah.
I have to do a lot of work on like actually practicing. But what really just sucked me into the hospitality industry, it's the social element, the
Yeah.
contact with people. I love the creation of like making drinks because my mom was a great cook, and I always grew up around great food and,
Yeah.
and drinks in general as well, like always the wine and the aperitifs and stuff like that. So I developed really young a taste for it. But I think the interaction with people was my biggest things.
Because it's got to be much bigger and larger and so many different kinds of people in London
Yeah.
versus the small town.
Yeah, of course.
And that's got to
And-
be exhilarating in
And
itself
it is so when you hit service and the rooms start to pack with people. And I told you I had the chance, my first gig. I mean, I work in coffee shop for a bit, like
Yeah.
serving old ladies, in like rich neighborhood of London.
They must have
making
loved you, right?
super hot cappuccino. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but I told you my English was really atrocious at the time.
Like, we'll teach you how to speak
yeah.
English.
Serving all this. No, it's not warm enough. Bring it back. Oh, now it's burned. I'm like, oh yeah, you want it really hot. Anyway.
That's why I see you walk back and forth, man. I know. How it
I
goes.
know, but man, finally, my friend hooked me up with this gig he had as a commie waiter at Nobu restaurant, and you got one in the US here. You obviously started
In
from
LA,
New York,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Or
go.
you- New York and
they're
then-
everywhere now, but the original was in New York. And when I worked for them, they only had maybe 4 venues around the world. Now they have hotels
Whole
in
bunch,
Vegas
right?
and stuff like that. Yeah. But it was crazy. All the stars swinging by London were going there. So my first shift, I remember like hitting 6 o'clock and 7 when it started to get dark and the room. It was so. I mean, I just remember looking around and be like, "This is the greatest things ever."
Yeah.
I was just like running drink, passing by, Angelina Jolie and like any rock artist or great soccer player, all those guys, and I was
Right.
like, "This is fantastic." And the energy in the room was just unbelievable. Busy people swinging by everywhere, drinks, food, like it was just. People talking. I don't know, the energy when you start a shift, when you in one of these restaurant
Yeah.
or one of the big bar, it's hard to explain.
It's infectious.
Yeah, it's really, and that's why you can do like 13 hours, shift on your feet
Yeah.
because the time just fly. It's
It's
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, this all kind of makes sense, right? All these things are coming together. You have this element of understanding mathematics and engineering and food that you grew up with. When did you first step behind the bar and become creative and build what you might consider a great cocktail?
I think it takes some time. To be honest, at the beginning, you saw. I mean, for me, I learned it the old school way, where people don't give you a shaker
Yeah.
before you know how to do the setup, before hold the classic recipe on a paper,
Right.
and the signature drinks from the venue on a paper. So it takes a while before you actually allowed yourself
Yeah.
to grab some ingredient from the back bar and hey, look, I'm gonna create something. It didn't work that way. People.
It's
They
doubt.
wouldn't even listen to you anyway. They'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, just stick to the classic for now. Learn a signature drink, and then we'll take it from there."
But that's got to be pretty valuable.
Yeah,
Go
it is-
through
it
those.
is. Of course. To go through those, classic steps.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I think made me a good bartender at the end because I didn't burn all the stages, and I learned the classics and the basic rules of hospitality as well too because Nobu was such a service bar that
Right.
you have to grade the customer. Remember them by name. Remember the signature drink if they had one or what they prefer. Making sure the reservation is there and managing the sometimes you get busy, so you have to jungle between them wanting to go to the table and their reservation being a bit late. So it was a
Right.
lot about managing people as well too, not only about making drinks. It's only really later, actually. I think after 3 years when I really moved out of Nobu and I started to work on different venues, that's where I started to focus on creativity in drinks.
Because you had maybe some space.
Yeah, I had a bit more time and space
Yeah.
to do it because in Nobu it was so busy and so focused on customer
Yeah.
and I was not the bar manager creating the menu. So my voice at the time didn't really matter.
But I think that's such a great way to start.
Yeah.
It is in a sense an apprenticeship.
Of course. And you look at the Japanese bartender and a lot of on the trade at the moment people are talking about Japanese industry in general like through the tools and through the craft and you can see those guys they're not touching a shaker or like being a bartender before like have to wait like 10 years or something like that, in your background.
I've witnessed it. It's like, it's profound because you can see the line. Like, you can see the invisible line. Do not cross that line.
I know.
But it's so powerful.
Yeah.
You know?
And in the time in the UK, we had that too. And I saw it was great. There is a similar place in New York who does that as well. Same old school ways, employee only.
Oh, yeah.
Who had this, stage of like becoming a principal bartender and, wearing the white coat. And they had these things like you have to be a barback for years before becoming a bartender.
I mean, I think that's really valuable.
It's great. I mean, it really makes you appreciate the job. And, I've seen people being successful after 2 or 3 years of bartending, just burning all 2 steps.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it really gives you the ground for being successful in the long term. That help a lot.
I had this conversation almost with everybody that's been in this industry for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Pay your dues.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is.
It is what it is. Because, you can turn around and say, hey, I've done it, man. Been there, done that. I polish all those glassware. I empty all those bins. I mop the floor. And it helps you to appreciate once you jump into a management role or head bartender, or it helps you to appreciate, the guy you're going to hire to do that job. If you didn't do it yourself, then
how do you even know?
That's it.
If you haven't been through the shit, how do you know what shit is?
Exactly. Right? You can, hey, man, this glassware are not polished fast enough. I'm like, well, how many did you polish back into there? That's things, man. There is a technique around it.
Yeah.
And it's super important.
It is. So when we talk about the London chapter, seems very, very formative. And one, you're learning English. Yeah. And quite well, right? At this point, very polished. What was the move to brand ambassadorship?
That happened later down the track when I moved first to Australia because I met my wife.
So you met her in London.
So I met her in London, and then we decided to move in Australia.
Gotcha.
And over there, I run bars for an extra, I think 3 or 4 years. Yeah, about that. And it was great because I was able to take some management roles and take an extra step into my career.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was managing this really busy establishment in Sydney called Hemisphere, which was one of these old school members club again, one of the original great cocktail bar from Australia, still there as we speak, and also really focused on service. So it was service bar, a lot of regular, so you have to know them by name. It was just one of these space
just a
where,
high level.
Yeah, really high end. Yeah, one of these space where it was great for me to go back kind of full circle to this kind of establishment. I really enjoyed that. But then after a while, it was also late night, and you family situation changed. I had kids, and I just need to see them a little bit more. And be a bartender, like you say, you live in the opposite of everyone else. So when you
maybe that's when you should have been a baker, right? When you had the kids.
Yeah, probably. But I had the chance to jump in the ambassador role. First, I actually just was what you call a whiskey specialist. So I was doing some training on the side for William Grant & Son, the company I work for now. They gave me a chance to take all the whiskey portfolio and go to venues and do the trainings and try to. It was like a rep, a glorified rep in a way, which was great. And then I jumped into the ambassador role with Hendrix first. Right?
Yeah. It's hard for me to think, because I think cognac, right? Obviously, you're French, it's got to be cognac or digestifs or aperitif or whatnot. What your flavors, your sense of palate, right? What kinds of things did you gravitate towards at that point? Were you a gin guy at that point? Were you something more bitter?
I kind of like, I always had one of those things for like dry and, straight spirit. Yeah. Like you say, like I did grow up with some, digestive kind of around my life. So I was already, used to that. Yeah. But I say I was more like about the whole spectrum of flavor that you have behind the bar. I love any kind of spirit. I'm not saying that just because it's easy, just because it's great to make a cocktail, and it's a spirit for every occasion. And it's funny you say France and cognac. A lot of people probably think French are drinking cognac all day.
No, they don't at all.
We don't. We actually don't. It's pretty funny, but most of the cognac is actually we produce. It's actually going for export. Yeah. Sorry, we don't actually drink it that much ourselves. No, we're big whiskey drinker. France is actually the biggest whiskey consumer in the world.
That's are you kidding me?
Yeah, per habitant. Yeah, that's what I grew up on. Like, when we went to nightclubs and going out with friends, it's always a bottle of whiskey. Wow. Yeah, we always have, with mixer, most of the time, but yeah, always. Well,
yeah, you export luxury to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yes. A handful of people export the luxury.
That's right. And I probably can count it on one hand how many do that. But, I like Armagnac a whole lot. Does that have a little bit of a different credibility?
Armagnac will be different credibility in terms of like it's more of like a I would say people drink.
Yeah.
You know, in France, that's things you came across a little bit more in small restaurants and stuff like that. Armagnac, because it's a bit more. I'm not gonna say rough because it's not the right term because the product is great, but it's a bit more down to earth. I'll say for the people. When cognac, it's such a glorified snooty product. I mean, you know, the advertisement and everything around it make it so almost too fancy.
It's pop rock and punk rock.
Yes,
that's how I look at it, right?
Hip hop and
there you go,
and classical.
That's exactly
something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
But Armagnac they're doing a great job to try to push a little bit more the product.
Yeah,
but you know, still, when you talk to some of the family making Armagnac, I think. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter for them. Yeah. They're just making the product for the people, and they know after the big bucks,
big money.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good thing, and that kind of begs the question: not that you've got the big bucks, but you're in a very visible position now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this, great foundation in hospitality itself, and you get creative with the cocktail piece, and you're noticed by William Grant & Sons. You go and you take the Hendrix role for Australia and New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
So it keeps building.
Yeah.
What kind of, through this process, drove you to seek new opportunities? Was it money? Was it learning? Was it to support the family?
No, it's not money. Because I work for a Scottish company, you know. So.
You're working for cognac if it's for the money.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would have done something differently. Oh God. Nah, I absolutely. The thing is, like, I'm joking about that, but it's actually the best thing, I think. One of the best things about this company, it's not about the money. If you stick around with William Grant & Son, it's really for the family business, the family on. And I love the camaraderie and the spirit behind the company. And I mean it when I say that. It's truly unbelievable because I actually took a pay cut going out from running bars to become an ambassador, like a huge pay cut, because you're losing already your tips.
Sure.
And even because I used to work for a big establishment, they were getting me definitely. They were looking after you. Yeah. So I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I love traveling and I seen it as a great opportunity to do that. I love teaching because I told you about my experience about passing on the knowledge, and I thought that would be great. I needed some more time during the day to look after my family, and even if I travel more, that was a great opportunity for me to do that, and I think it's still the right decision. But for me, I always seek further. I've been one of these guys. I told you I grew up from a little village, and it always been in the back of my head. I'd be like, what's out there? What's next? Or the things. I always had this, so I just keep doing this, and I'm just doing couple of like parallel kind of move, from Australia to East Coast of America, which I thought would be a great opportunity when I heard the job was coming up. And it was, one of my friends holding the position in New York. And when I heard he was moving up and leaving the position vacant, I was like, I'm gonna try this. If I don't do this now, it's now or never.
Yeah,
it was a unique position in New York, and I was like, the company will be able to transfer me over. I think it was great. I spent 9 years in Australia, and I love that country. I'm also actually Australian now. I travel on an Australian passport.
Oh, that's right, because you married it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I spent 9 years over there, so I consider it like home, but I just wanted to take this new challenge. I think in life I always, like to challenge myself and seek new opportunity, and that was just perfect. Then from the East Coast Hendrix, I had the other opportunity to move and take the national role for Monkey Shoulder, a product which I actually launched back in Australia.
No kidding.
So it was kind of like, going full circle a little bit. Yeah. When I was a whiskey specialist and doing some contracted job for William Grant, I helped to launch a product in Australia.
So you're drinking whiskey in the clubs in France, the thing that's unbeknownst to us as Americans. That's what they drink.
I can give you some of these.
You helped launching it.
I actually was drinking Grant. Matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah. Because he was one of these good value blend Scotch, and in France it's actually really big. So I had my fair share of Grant whiskey.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So it's there all the time.
Yeah, it was there. Yeah. So it's quite funny.
Staring at you from across the room.
I don't mention enough, but it's actually funny for me now to work for this company because I drank a lot of it. Yeah, tons of it back in the days.
Effectively, you paid them to drink.
Yes.
That's your whole retirement fund.
Yeah. I worked for the whole company. Yeah.
So how long have you been in this role now with Monkey Shoulder?
Monkey Shoulder, it's gonna be just past a year now in the US, a national role. But it was like going back to, well, it's like I never left. Really, It was really easy. And the transition, since I was with the same team in the US, was really easy for me. I love Monkey Shoulder. The brand it's just great in terms of the everything you can do without sticking to the old school. Hey, let's do a whiskey tasting. There is so much you can do with that brand. It really excite me. And that's why it excited me with Hendrix as well too, just to really think out of the box. And
many of the brand like that's kind of the William Grandson's thing.
Yeah.
You talk about the Montelobos, Mezcal's kind of brave and innovative.
Yeah.
Ancho Reyes, right? Amazingly brave. You talk about the Monkey Shoulder, Hendrix. I mean, it seems to be the culture.
Yeah.
Innovative.
Every brand has a really strong personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of rebellious a little bit.
Yeah, it is. In a way, we kind of,
refined though, right?
But we are a bit of a rule breaker.
Yeah.
When they launched Hendrix back in the days in 2000, people were like, they couldn't believe it. Like we created something with roses and cucumber and dressing up as, Victorian era and doing all those crazy events. People were like, what's going on here? And it's just been a success story since day one.
Yeah.
So it's great they were able to do that. And like you said, you mentioned all the other product has really strong personality. And Monkey Shoulder, it's not shy as well in terms of personality. So we're doing, with people are loving the product, what's inside the bowl, but also what
it kind of represents the brand personality in a way, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the perfect opportunity to finally sip some Monkey Shoulder and talk about this conga shaker, man, this monster of a thing. I'll bring it over to you.
Oh, yeah, okay. No problem. We got a brand new bottle here. Look at that. Let's do this. Oof. Don't you like that noise?
That's going to sound great on here.
Here we go. Great, got that. Thank you. Santé. Hola.
So let's talk about the word blended for a second. Met with a couple guys who've owned some American whiskey companies, right?
Yes.
Blended has this just kind of weird connotation, almost a negative connotation.
Yeah.
However, if you're making a sauce or you're making a meal or you're making a piece of sushi, what you're doing is blending textures and flavors to create the most comprehensive and the most satisfying sip.
I agree.
So tell me about kind of the philosophy here as a blended whiskey for Monkey Shoulder.
It's really, I mean, it comes down to marketing at the end of the day about the bad image that blended whiskey suffer from. But the reality is blended Scotch, it's like more than 90% of the sales around the world. Like it's huge. And that's what at the end of the day, back in the days, made whiskey palatable. Not a lot of people were going around and drinking single malt back in the days. Actually, matter of fact, Glenfiddich was the first brand to advertise their whiskey as single malt.
Oh, really?
And being brave enough outside of Scotland, being brave enough to go and try to sell the product outside of Scotland as a single malt. But otherwise, everyone else was sending out the blend because when they discovered the continuous distillation and were able to distill with grain and stuff like that, they made whiskey a lot more palatable, which was what people were looking for. So it's not a bad thing. People have been blending whiskey for hundreds of years. The thing is with us, we're different from a blended Scotch because we're actually a blended malt. So we are a blend of single malts. Yeah. So we are 100% malted whiskey blend of single malt from Speyside.
Wow.
So this is difference with us. It's not grain whiskey going into a batch. The story was basically William Grant & Son were looking for, they wanted to create a new product, something really innovative. Like you say, innovation always been the heart of the company. So they asked David Stewart, who was a master distiller at the time, still a master distiller of Balvenie, more than 50 years in the business, incredible master distiller.
That's insane.
Yeah, they asked him to come with something rich and smooth that, we want to celebrate the fact we can mix with it, make cocktails. So they wanted to push it in on trade and talk to bartenders.
Sure.
So they say, and create a blended malt, which would be this category which haven't been really explored so far. So he came up with this wonderful recipe, 27 cask of whiskey he had, on hand at the time, around the distillery from William Grant & Son. And Monkey Shoulder came to life. And he's still made with 3 single malt from Speyside,
Yeah.
still all aged in first fill bourbon barrel, so there's no sherry cask in there. So
all Speyside,
all Speyside,
single use,
no
bourbon,
peat,
right?
no peat whiskey, no grain, and all single malt. And because all the whiskey are from Speyside, as you can smell and nose, it's really fruity.
I love that. Well, because it makes it lighter because of that area.
It's and you make it really versatile, which was the main focus here. Like it was made for mixing. So you've got this orange peel, kind of freshly cut gingers aroma, but you also can definitely smell the vanilla and the cinnamon from the aging process, because first fill bourbon barrels, so the barrel is still fairly, totally new from the bourbon industry. So it impact a lot of flavors, and once blend together, it gives you this amazing whiskey, which I still love drinking neat. And that's what I said.
I don't see, like, what do I need to add to this?
And it's the same. And I still get a lot of that. People say, wow, what do you want to mix with whiskey? It's like, because it's great. Because I like drinking whiskey in all different ways. And I say to people, like, what about how great it is to have a whiskey sour sometimes, for example. Man. So refreshing, right? But make a whiskey sour with a classic blended Scotch that you grab from a shelf. So, and a lot of them add peated whiskey into it.
Right.
Which make it always kind of like this peaty aftertaste.
Sure.
And also because this grain, the whiskey tend to disappear a little bit, in the mix when you do it with monkey shoulder, because we're a blend of single malt. The body of the whiskey somehow it's a lot. I'm gonna say stronger is probably not the right word, but you're gonna stand a lot more in your cocktail.
Right.
So compare it. Make a whiskey sour with a blended Scotch, and make a whiskey sour with monkey shoulder. And you're going to taste the difference. You're going to taste the whiskey more. It's going to be so much more refreshing as well, because there's no peat into it. And it's just worked so well.
Well, at 43, I mean, this is the perfect proof for it, because it gives you just a little bit of extra punch. But the punch and the flavor doesn't come from the alcohol or any kind of thin acetone kind of thing, right? Which sometimes you get that with whiskeys.
Yep.
This is like soulful, full-bottomed woman, kind of supple caramel, right? That's what I get with it. And so that's the thing when I think when you're talking, you put it in just something as simple as a whiskey sour, which requires incredible balance.
Yes.
This is going to hold its own, but it's not going to impede on the citrus. It's not going to impede on the sweetness.
That's it.
So, I mean, this is the perfect member of the band. You can put it in anywhere, and it's going to just sit right in.
You can drink it neat, on ice, with on a date with your mom. From a plate. It still tastes great.
That's right. No matter what you're wearing.
No matter what you want to do. You can, plastic cup right now. Still tastes
See?
great.
This is a great plastic cup. Branded plastic cup.
I know.
So, I'm sure being immersed in the world of Scotch, you have great mates with the portfolio in terms of the products, other great personalities that you work with. This whole age thing, right? Yeah. Do you think that people look at the number before they actually sip it?
Some people still do. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I had customer back in the days, like, being bartending, that the only things matter for them was the age statement. I mean, it's always a story behind bartenders about the joke, people drinking John Walker Blue and Coke, it doesn't. The thing, because for a lot of people, it's just about the name and the standard and how, how old is going to be or premium is going to be and whatever. The mixing with Scotch is a different story, but the drinking needs, like, the older you get, the better. Yeah. It's actually not true. There is some amazing young whiskey out there, which are, a quarter of the price and absolutely unbelievable.
You talk to the guys at Beam, for instance, right? They'll say 8 years.
Yeah.
That's right. And that is. Parker Beam said that as well from Heaven Hill. Mm-hmm. That's right where it gets perfect.
Yeah.
And you can go younger and you can go older. And sometimes it's exceptional and sometimes it's rubbish.
Sometimes it's not.
I mean, like
I say, it come down to strong marketing that, has been done back in the days about pushing the statement. And don't get me wrong, some of those whiskey are fantastic. Yeah. But it's not every whiskey doesn't have to be aged for at least 20 years to be sippable.
You got to sit it down, spend a good time getting to know it.
Yeah. And you know what? Most of the time, the key is company, That's you can drink a lot and you're 50 years old whiskey, but you can have a good 10 years old something or even under and being good company and it
makes it even better.
So much better.
Yeah. Yes. Everything tastes better when company is good.
Now, the key is that the way you master distiller, going to put the product together. And, all right, put it that way. Talking about single malt and the agement and stuff like that, and talking about blending, for example, people think still in their mind that if they go like a single malt, 18 years old, whatever, it's from one barrel, and that's not true. It's actually blended as well. It's just a blend of different barrel from the same distillery, but it's still a blend of different barrel.
Right.
So that's what people
18,
don't realize.
right?
It's still blended, unless it's written single barrel on your bottle. It's a blend of whiskey from different barrel.
Yeah.
So it's nothing wrong about being blended.
Do you like going into those crowds and helping people understand some of those definitions of whiskey?
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. When I was working for the whole portfolio back in Australia.
Yeah.
Now with Monkey Shoulder, because I don't do any, not really little of those traditional tasting. We do a lot more energetic, activation, like parties and stuff like that, and stuff with around cocktails and mixability, and we try to really think out of the box. So I don't have too much of this one-to-one with people trying to explain them what's.
Sometimes it's like beating your head against the wall anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Monkey Shoulder is like we don't want to only target the whiskey drinker.
Right.
We want to target the drinkers. We're like a new generation of whiskey for a new generation of drinker.
Right.
The people who actually enjoy their drinks for what they are, want to have a good time. And of course, you can discuss the complexity of a liquid, but you also want to have fun, right?
About the company.
It's about
Again,
company, right?
At the end of the day, that
Put
is.
a Monkey Shoulder on the table with some good friends, and you're set.
It's
And that's not gonna break your bank. Like you look at the price of the bottle, it's about around $35 in on average for a blend of single malts. It's not bad, right?
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Well, so I know you've got a tasting here in just a little while with some reps in the fine city of Austin. I think some folks are even driving up from San Antonio. So I got a couple questions left for you. One, I love Brits. I don't know why. I just have this predilection. This affinity for them. Same thing with the French.
Yeah.
Do you still? How about this? Were movies in French film?
Yeah.
And French music, were those things that kind of influenced you, that you kind of keep going back to?
The French movie?
Yeah.
You know what? Matter of fact, yes, I do. I think it's about what I find in a lot of French movie. It's a lot more, most of the time, about small stories. Yeah. So they make movie about some stories, like small stories. By small stories, I mean like regular people, less action, more boobies. Sorry.
Not the end of the world, right? Like it's not that. It's about boobs.
I said that
romance. It is.
My wife always complains, saying, "Why is the French movie like it's always?" Because it's kind of like part of the whole thing, and which make it not that obvious when actually about woman breasts and stuff like that. It's kind of a natural thing. We don't get offended. We had like nudist beach. We got like it's just
we're
not
prudish.
a big deal
you know
for us.
It, man.
Yeah.
We want our cognac to look fancy, but you show us a boob, we're gonna start like retreating around.
So the fair bit of that, but no, I think it's a meaning as well. Some of the story, and probably because I can relate to it as well a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I love the big blockbusters, American. There is some great movie I watched from the UK as well. Funny story, my flatmate was a big fan of Love Actually.
Okay,
I
love that movie.
Girls,
Richard Curtis, is that right?
Yeah. I probably watched this movie. I watched this movie probably about 30 times. I'm not joking.
It's
because
great.
Our way to learn English when we were in London, when we were home in the apartment, was to actually watch this movie with subtitle and to be able to kind of like get the English accent and register and look at the words. So we literally watched this movie about like more than 30 times.
That's amazing thing, though.
We did.
So do you have unrealistic requirements for love now?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a really romantic person.
Even Ringo got a Bond girl, right?
A bit of love,
That's a great way to do that. That's what I would do. Is I'd watch Godard or Truffaut if I were trying to learn French. I'd just kind of look at it with subtitles. So it makes lots of sense.
I've had Swedish friends and stuff like that, and you look at them. The English is always perfect. Even going out of school, you always wonder. Well, they're already obviously doing really well at school in terms of like teaching the kids English. But I went to I had a friend and I was like, what's the deal with you? Like, how do you do that? It's like, well, all the movie you watch in French, like US movie you watch in French, but we don't have that. Actually, everything is in subtitle. So they've got the Swedish subtitle, but everything is still in English.
So they can learn it
So
in English.
the ear get used to it really really young.
I think that's a really, really great learning tool.
It looks really efficient because every single Swedish person I met,
Perfect.
his English is always kind of impeccable. I'm like,
Better than most
blow my mind.
Americans.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
better than mine too.
So, 2 questions left for you, and this one I'm really curious how you'll answer. So let's say you're at your favorite bar in the world, where and whatever that may be, drinking some monkey shoulder, and you can have a conversation with anybody, living or deceased. Who might you like to just sit there at the bar, sip some scotch, blended scotch, and then have a conversation with?
Oh, that's a tough question. You know what? A personality?
Sure.
Yeah, is that what you question? Or
Could be an actor, it could be a character.
could be an actor. A
Yeah.
character. Okay. I had these things. I had these things when I was at uni, and I was quite big in like South America, history, and looking at, when I watch the whole things going down, for example, in Venezuela and stuff like that.
Right.
And I had my friend from London is from Venezuela, and I had the chance to go and visit his family for months over there. I always had this kind of passion for South America. So even at uni, I did this presentation on Che Guevara. I love this story. I thought it was crazy. It's just like so romantic and crazy, like a movie kind of things,
Right.
So yeah, if there is one person, I actually love to sit down with Che Guevara and get the real story of what really went down, at the time. And yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, this stories, with Fidel Castro and stuff like that, like crazy,
Riveting
thing.
stuff.
Huh?
I mean, it made a good movie. 2-part
Wow,
movie, too.
there is, yeah.
Yeah, a massive, three
Yeah.
and a half hours long.
I mean, he became such like a marketing kind
Yeah,
of things too at the end of the
absolutely.
day. But yeah, it's a great story. So I would have loved to get input on, and because I visit the people down there, and I see how they live, and it's it always fascinates me that we forget what we take for granted here in a
sure.
Western civilization, and
Yeah.
we had it good, and we all got a good life. So
It's nice to get the palate cleanser and kind of a dose of reality sometimes.
yes, I will all remember this feeling, and when I came back from Venezuela after a month, and I landed in London, this feeling of like, wow, feeling safe again.
Sure.
And I love the experience in Venezuela, but really made me realize how good we have it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, so the last question for you, again, you have this tasting here in just a few moments, and where are you headed to next? I know you had some flight delays. You were going to try to dance at Glenfiddich Dave's party last night, but you had a flight. Where are you off to next?
Next, I'll be down to Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of things going on over there. We have our Ultimate Bartender Championship
Oh, cool.
with Monkey Shoulder. Yeah, so with a competition we're doing with bartender about all the skills that pay the bills, from speed round to knowledge to carrying a tray to presenting a drink. So we're gonna do a round over there, and I've got some special guests coming with us.
Oh, cool.
Some legends of the bar industry, still working, in some of the greatest bar around America. So they're gonna come with us. So we're gonna do a bit of a Q&A the day before with all the trade people, just sharing knowledge and say, hey, if you want to be successful in the industry, maybe listen to those guys. They might have some few advices,
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah, that's a plan. And maybe going to there's a great festival going on at the moment in Chicago. So
Yeah, great.
if I'm lucky, I might meet it on Sunday.
I'm sure you guys have tickets. I'm sure that they can get you tickets.
I heard someone might have some golden passes.
There could be some bands playing. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's a palooza of something.
It looks quite big. I don't know. I'll go and check it out.
Yes, always modest. So. Well, man, it's really great that we finally got to sit down and chat. You're sitting in, again, a red velvet throne.
Right.
I mean, this
So
is
comfortable.
luxurious. Yeah, it looks like you're... I haven't seen anybody look this comfortable ever in any of these chats. 2 years strong now, over 100 chats, and you're the most comfortable looking
Whiskey
man
in hand.
in all this. And it's brilliant sipping. Talking about the company, man. Sipping Monkey Shoulder with you. Returning to the source of it. It's all full circle.
Nice.
It's great, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for sitting down.
Hey,
and chatting
thanks
with
for
us.
having me. Thank you
It's
very
good.
much.
We'll keep in touch, I hope, yeah?
Yes, please.
All right.
Please.
Thank you.
Love to. Thank you. Bye.
Well, there we have it. Seb Derbomez of a Monkey Shoulder Scotch. Great to sip Monkey Shoulder Scotch with him. I love the Scotch at 43% ABV. I mean, it gives you just a little more flavor, a little fiercer boldness. I guess I shouldn't be in marketing with all these adjectives I'm trying to use, but it was great sitting down with him. Fun guy. Loves music, loves wine. He comes from this amazing kind of traditional French countryside background, moving to London, moving to Australia, bringing that metropolitan life into his own. Good father, good style. Seb, it was just brilliant getting to sit down and chat with you, mate. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter which hidden gems on Netflix you think might be worth watching, such as Vantage Point, which is a movie that I missed, but well worth a watch for you at home, or if you're thinking, man, beans and rice, does it get any better and more fulfilling than that? Please keep tuned.